On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the General Secretary of NASU, Comrade Adeyemi. He brings us up to speed on several issues that workers in the non-academic staff unions are faced with, especially the issue of the payment platform system, IPES. It's good to have you on the program.
My pleasure.
Our first discussion after the suspended action by the non-academic staff, and you just had your NEC meeting, and lots of national issues was actually discussed. For me as a journalist, I'm concerned about the demand for a cost of living adjustment, which your union abbreviated as COLA. Do you think it's just your members that deserve this cost of living adjustment at this moment?
Well, thank you very much. We have to speak for our members. That's what we are elected and appointed to do. And we think that even our position has been seriously endorsed by some of the comments that was credited to our very respected Honorable Minister of Labor and Employment. Some time ago, he said that the federal government had decided to increase the salary of the workers. But we don't know by what percentage. And if you put all the indices into consideration, you find that the purchasing power of an average worker, particularly members of NASU, across the length and breadth of the Federal Republic, have been seriously diminished by the economic indices that are currently on ground. And when we negotiated the minimum wage, which of course is the last increase and the consequential adjustment, the bag of rice was just about 20-something thousand. So, and that moves from one foodstuff to the other. Everything that you buy has gone up more than 100%. Beyond that, even before the war in Ukraine, which has necessitated some of the crises now we are contending with energy. In Nigeria, the price of diesel has gone up more than 200%, 300%. What we pay, even for NEPA, for electricity, the fact that the electricity is not even there, we are paying more for darkness, has gone more than 200, 300%. The valuation of the Naira. Today, CBN will sell for 430 something. But the reality that we are faced with is that because the CBN rate is not available to anybody. So clearly, from all the economic indices, it is clear that we can't continue to survive on the current salary level. So while I agree with the position of our very respected Minister of Labor and Employment that there should be increase, what we are saying is that that increase must be programmed, not on the available cash. It should be based on the current reality, based on cost of living index as of now. Even though we are allergic to this level of uncontrolled borrowing, every day you go and borrow, every day you go and borrow, until you are bankrupt. There are some countries of the world that have been declared bankrupt by the financial institutions, IMF, World Bank. They've been declared bankrupt. So we don't want Nigeria to be declared bankrupt. And even just as recent as 2 weeks ago, when the IMF and the World Bank held their meeting in Washington, D.C., anxieties were raised about the level of the borrowings of Nigeria.
Though the union is demanding for 100% of increase in wages, we are very much aware that we have some states that are yet to implement the consequential in the adjustment in the minimum wage. And we still have many states that are owing workers' salaries as much as 12 months, as much as 6 months. Some states, as at now, they've only received probably 2 months' salaries. Yes. Cases of Abia, Ondo, and so many others that.
Let me just quickly react to that. When there is the will, there must always be a way. I say on my honor that those states are just acting irresponsibly. If they put their priority right, they pay workers' salaries. Are these not the same governors that are flying private jets? Are these not the same government that today they are holding meeting in London? Some of them are in Paris, this and that. Where are they getting the money with which they are using to fly? I have been in this country for years. I have seen when Jakonde was governor of Lagos, never traveled outside the country. Never, for once. So what is this going up and down the whole place, and this place is grounded? The workers are not paid. Do you know that Abia State Polytechnic was owing workers about 30-something months? And yet there is a government there. 30-something months. It's not only in Abia Poly. We have Abia State University, Uturu. We have Abia State College of Education Technical, Aruchukwu. Salaries are owed in months. Months.
And don't you think a state of emergency is supposed to be declared on such a state? And is it only Abia? Personally I know of some. I know Ondo is experiencing such. Shouldn't label them and shame them at this point?
They are all in the same basket, but we have to now separate them. Those who are completely nonchalant, as far as the issue is concerned, those who are making efforts. We have Ondo making efforts, even though they are in areas of salaries. They meet regularly with their NLC in the states, Joint Action Council in the states, and agree on how the money will be paid. They are carrying workers along. But in some states, nothing. In Benue, just only a few days ago, after the workers have declared a full-day strike, the governor now promised that he will be releasing 150 million every month to clear arrears of salaries. Arrears. But those governments have not shown responsibility. This position of we are spending so much of our money in paying salary is naive and doesn't make sense, because the fact is that those salaries are what drives the economy of those states. They don't have industries. You can't compare Ondo with Lagos. You can't compare Ondo even with Ogun State in terms of ability to generate resources internally. So these are clearly civil service states. And you need to pay those workers so that the other segments and sectors of your economy can get money to thrive.
Okay, so very quickly, the issue in research institutes that made them embark on industrial action for about a year, is there any update on some of the demands that they had then?
Very unfortunately, we met with the Minister of Agriculture, a fine gentleman. I promise that 6 weeks, we don't know what has happened, that he will personally intervene and this strike will be suspended. Very unfortunately, I don't know what the problems are, because when we met him, he was very down to earth, very straightforward, and very serious. But it's going to almost 10 weeks now. Nothing has happened. We met with the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Festus Keyamo, SEN. He promised. He has not done anything. So the buck is in the government court. They are not willing to deal with what is legitimately due to the workers. very unfortunately, it's not the type of thing we expect. And this is why government should, in fact, why it's even funny what is happening with that meeting of Soskayamu is that the minister, his senior minister in the ministry, has already written to finance to say you have paid ABCD institution this money, pay the others.
So why the discrimination?
Yes, we don't know. That's what we say they should find out. And we are not even interested in the discrimination. We are interested that those who have, since they have started paying, those who have not been paid should be paid. Wherever you get the money to pay those who have not been paid, go and look for the same money and pay. Yes.
So generally, as an experienced labor leader when it comes to industrial relations and the like, what would be your take on our style of approach when it comes to collective bargaining agreement?
Let's get more serious. Let's get more serious and be more honest. There's so many dishonesty going on here and there. And that's why I like the statement of Mr. President. While he was doing the 2023 the presentation of the budget to the National Assembly, he said this government will not sign any agreement with any union that they will not be able to implement. It should not be only about signing an agreement. Do something about the ones you have signed. Have the courage, if you know the ones you have signed, you are having problem. Have the courage of calling back the unions. Call them back because you have already signed, even if it is that you have been wrongly committed. Call the people you signed this agreement with, call them back to the negotiating table and then do a review of the content of those agreements. There can't be bold-faced about this. When you sign an agreement, whether it is a rat in government, you sign for government, it's government. Let me also say, government should also, from henceforth, make sure that those who are going to represent them at negotiations are people who have government mandate, that can commit government. They can't go and hold union meeting with unions in a hurry. They want unions who are on strike to go back to work. You sign what you cannot implement. Sign only what you know you can implement. Drag the negotiation, drag it, fight there.
Then looking at the strike that the university system experienced recently, it involved NASU, it involved SANU, it involved ASU. One thing came paramount at one point or the other is the no work, no pay government policy. Have your members been paid for the months whereby they were not at work?
They have not been paid. And we are saying that government should have a rethink on this matter. We are appealing to government to say, look at the details of the processes that led us into this strike. We didn't wake up from our bed and just started strike. Why, for God's sake, won't you, before your anger, why won't you look at how the history? Let somebody inform Mr. President about the history of how this strike came about. It was forced on us by the inaction of government. So we, NASU, we are appealing to government to have a change of heart. I know that policy was introduced out of anger, but you can't throw the baby and the bathwater away. We are still workers. We are still children of Mr. President. So we appeal. Ours is appealing to Mr. President. That same milk of kindness that flows in your vein, you use it and pay our members 4 months. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pay us. We have gone back to work. That's our position.
Finally, one of the biggest reasons why workers insisted on an industrial action is the issue of the payment platform IPS. What would be your take on what could be done? Fine, everybody is back at work. is the IP still something that you'd want to work with?
Using government position, I'm not the one that established NIDA. NIDA is a government agency. We have presented to NIDA U3PS. The ASU presented UTAS. Government also carries own IPs, give me to UTAS. And we have been informed by government that IPs failed integrity test. They failed in all the tests. IPs failed all the tests. They collected Odo.
But they also said that they said UTAS and the rest also failed.
No. IPs is F9 parallel. So how can government say they will use 0000 F9 parallel to continue to pay us? We are told that IPs itself has some areas there where money goes out every month. So government cannot substantially say there is merit. I think that what we are told, what we are hearing, is that they can repair IPs, but IPs are spoiled beyond repair. When they say motor knock engine, it can't move. Government will know what to do.
To meet in the middle.
Yes, and then put something, not to go and panabit the IPs, because if you have a car and you are an accidented car, no matter how much work panabita does on the car, it can never be the way it's supposed to be. And that's our position.
Thank you very much for your
My
time.
pleasure.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.